She's having me talk about trying, putting forward effort, even giving someone more than one chance. But every time we do this, it's like we get kicked back and we like kick ourselves and wonder, well, why did I give that chance? Why did I give that opportunity? She's doing this, and it's like, let it go, let it go, let it go. And there's a sense of comfort around that.
I was raised by my grandmother.
Wow, okay.
From 3 days old.
Aww.
My mother was a teenage mom, and she just didn't want to have a child.
Wow.
She basically didn't want to acknowledge my existence my entire life, even though I lived 5 minutes away from her, my family, my mother's family. And I've, up until maybe a couple of years ago, I tried my whole life to have a relationship with her, and she rejected me each and every time. And I was always chasing that relationship with my mother, even though my grandmother was the most amazing woman in the world. She wasn't my mother. No matter how popular you were in school or how beautiful you were or how smart you were, you could never get something that most people have, is the love from their mother. I just felt like I was never within reach of that. So my grandmother witnessed everything that she did to me. And my grandmother is just a very loving person, forgiving. She taught me forgiveness.
Yeah. Wow, what an amazing woman. I mean, clearly.
Yeah. I thought in my mind she would hold on until the baby was born, but
yeah,
it didn't happen that way.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. There is a grandmother figure that I want to acknowledge. There is a reference to a Mary or a Marie connection, so who would that be?
Mary.
Yeah? Oh, nice.
That's my grandmother.
Oh, wow, okay.
That's her ring. My mother told her about my transition, and she made a point to tell the rest of the family we have a granddaughter now, and if anybody has a problem with it, you have to come and see me.
Wow.
And she sent me the ring then.
Wow.
And she was always on my side.
Oh God, it just clicked. Before I came in here, I had a grandmother figure coming through who made it a point to acknowledge that she was proud of her granddaughter. What I didn't get was why she was emphasizing granddaughter over and over and over again, because our loved ones say they're proud of us all the time.
Right.
But I was like, she's not emphasizing proud, she's emphasizing granddaughter.
Right.
And I was like, why is that coming through? Like, it makes obvious sense now that I meet you, but
yeah.
before I was like, I have no idea why she's emphasizing that.
Yeah.
So that was her way of acknowledging her pride for you.
When she said that she was proud of her granddaughter and kept on saying granddaughter, that is so incredible. This meant so much to me.
She's having me kind of talk about the family dynamics, and there's a very distinct T name that's coming through, and I cannot make a change. Like, as I've been holding on to this, they've been referencing to this person. Okay. Like, we need to talk about that individual. She's bringing up your mother's sister in the way this is coming in. She's putting accessibility around one daughter, lack of accessibility around another. Don't know what this means, but it just keeps coming through.
My mother has a sister named Trudy. T. Ah, and that's how I'm like, okay, I don't want to fill in dots, but okay, let's go here.
Yep. That makes sense.
And when my grandmother was alive, right, she was closer to my mom and not to Trudy.
Makes sense. The way that this comes through, she is prioritizing discussing that dynamic. And she's having me talk about her love life. And for some reason, she's just kind of referencing to like a man. And there's just some area of contention, and it just kind of keeps coming through. And by contention, I usually mean like something kind of negative. But it's a very unique situation where a man would kind of have an influence on your mother's sister in some capacity. And it just feels like it could have added or contributed to something that wasn't the best between the two of them.
Yeah, my grandmother Sybil, and my aunt stopped talking when she got married to the man she was married to. And it caused tension there between them. But I just remember it being very much where there wasn't approval.
Yes.
For the man that she married and then had her kids with.
Right.
That she's no longer with.
Yes, and the way that this comes through is in hindsight, she sees how she dealt with that situation, and there is a feeling of wishing that she could have handled it a little bit more delicately. She didn't want that to affect their relationship. She just was really wanting to be helpful.
Wow.
And it's just like, I see this now, and I'm proud of you for taking these steps to get out of that.
Okay, okay.
So please know that.
Yes, all right, I will pass that info on. I'm with that. My grandmother, she was somebody who always felt celebrated everything that was good in our lives while still trying to protect us. And here we go today. She's coming back to try to tie up loose ends, still trying to give someone else closure, help someone else. It's pretty special.
She acknowledges that she was waiting for you before we even got here today. And she acknowledges that she knows that she's been talked to, asked to be around, like come through. There's a whole feeling of like, I was with you before you came today.
Where is she? She's been dead at least 10 years, and I have been calling for her. I'm thinking, why don't I see evidence of her speaking to me? Is she the hummingbird? Is she the butterfly?
Right.
Where is she?
Right.
I just want to know that she's with me. But I've actually said to her, Nanny Kay, if you can hear me, let me know. I've done so many incredible things that she would have enjoyed so much.
Yes. It's so interesting because when she comes through, it's more of a personal connection. It's like if she's going to communicate to you, you're going to just kind of know or feel what she would have done. And that's more the way that she seems to connect. But that can be frustrating because it's less obvious. We want a clear billboard of a sign that shows that she's around. And I think if you really are open enough, you will feel her essence coming through, what she would have done, what she would have said. And that is a more profound sign than any butterfly, any dragonfly. It just might not be as apparent visually. So it's a different kind of connection. It can be hard wondering, how they feel. But
yeah.
I think you knew how your grandmother viewed you in life and her personality, so you know, no doubt she would have been proud of everything you went on to do. And that's important, so.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. I know. Thank you. So sweet. Life is so short, really. We learn that sometimes when we lose people. It was very comforting to know that, she's still present in the universe and she's somehow connected to me still.
The feeling is of basically a father figure missing out at some of the more developmental stages in life, and then ultimately kind of coming around once people have already been raised. The reason why this comes through is that man's father comes through on the other side and is making a connection to you and talking about basically what would be his son's actions or inactions. This man is coming through and basically acknowledging, I'm sorry that my son wasn't able to be the dad that he could have been. And the reason this comes through is there's a feeling of knowing that that relationship is only what it is to the extent that it is. You can only do so much. And the way this comes across is a feeling of even though there is this reestablished thing, I do not see the relationship necessarily getting super strong, super close, or super connected. Does that make sense?
Yes. I reconnected with my dad when I was like 27. I offered to let him come stay with me and let me take care of him, and then he disappeared again. And so now he reappeared, and he says he wants to come stay with me now, and there's a part of me that's like, well, you kind of missed that boat.
Right, and it seems that with everything that's coming through, it seems to kind of indicate from presumably his dad, who's fast coming through, the acknowledgement is basically, know what you're responsible for, know what you're not, and you're not responsible for him.
Right.
And there's an acknowledgement of you have permission to not feel like you have to be, super close. Don't feel like you had to be super close with the timing. And you have
That's what I want to tell him so bad.
For sure.
I'm gonna let him watch the show.
Yeah, well, that works. That works.
Right.
So please know that message is coming through from both grandfather and then a grandmother figure.
Tell him I said thank you, and I never got to meet them, but thank you.
I think I have to talk about getting mom. So it's always referencing to maternal, but she's having me say mom, mom, mom over and over again.
I'm already tearing up because mum, or I called her mum.
Wow.
Yeah, so you just said mum. Oh my God.
That's precious. I love that when stuff comes through, I don't even realize. Maybe I'm just interpreting.
She was my mom's mom, and I called her mum.
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I do have to mention there is a reference to someone either being buried with a golf club But she's showing me a golf club and a coffin is the symbol that comes through.
Okay, that's my mom. She was the biggest golfer, and her love was golf. She was a big golfer.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't even know any women who play golf, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. When she comes through, she's making a point to acknowledge that in life she feels like she was mom to a deeper extent than most grandmas. Because when she comes through as your protector.
Yeah.
She comes through so strongly as the first person to want to defend you, to be there for you, to support you, and she makes this immense, immense, immense connection to you, more than I even see some mothers come through for their own children.
I had a great childhood, but the circumstance between my mom and my dad, like divorce and everything, and my grandma moved in next door. She took that role, and you know, if I needed any advice or if I needed someone to talk to,
sure.
She was always the one I would go to for the comfort.
Exactly,
Yes.
and getting that maternal support.
I've always had a very disconnected family, other than my grandma. So Tyler, right then and there, hit it on the head. Like, my grandma was my rock.